Sweden versus Trump's tariffs. A trade war showdown? Sweden and the European Union are preparing to push back against the latest US trade tariffs, with Washington enforcing steep tariffs on steel, aluminum, and potentially automobiles. Sweden, a global leader in engineering, automotive, and life sciences, faces a direct economic challenge. Will Sweden quietly accept these restrictions, or is it gearing up for a powerful counterattack? The United States has imposed a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports, hitting European manufacturers hard, including Sweden's key industries. Sweden has long been a champion of free trade and globalization, and its economy depends heavily on exports. These new policies pose a serious threat to Swedish firms like Volvo, Scania, and SKF, which now face higher production costs and a more challenging US market. If additional tariffs are imposed on automobiles and consumer goods, the economic fallout could be even greater. Sweden and the EU, a coordinated response? Rather than acting alone, Sweden is aligning with Brussels to deliver a strategic retaliation. The European Commission is drafting countermeasures targeting key American exports like agricultural products, whiskey, and motorcycles. Sweden's involvement makes it clear this trade dispute will not go unanswered. President Donald Trump's America First policy has fueled these tensions, prioritizing US industries at the cost of global trade relations. But Sweden, with its highly integrated economy, is pushing back. Experts warn that these tariffs could disrupt supply chains, increase production costs, and trigger a global trade war. How will Sweden respond? Swedish companies are already preparing contingency plans. Volvo, Scania, and SKF are in discussions with US partners, analyzing the fallout of tariffs on supply chains and logistics. Meanwhile, the Swedish government is working with the European Commission to craft a measured but firm response, one that protects Swedish interests without unnecessarily escalating tensions. The Swedish Minister for International Development Cooperation and Foreign Trade, Benjamin Deyer, has been vocal about the risks of a trade war. He recently stated, "There are no winners in tariff wars. These measures cause unnecessary economic disruption and come at a high cost." Sweden's stance remains clear. It will work within the European Union to push for fair trade agreements and avoid escalating retaliatory measures unless absolutely necessary. The broader economic impact on Sweden. Sweden's economy is built on exports, and the US is one of its most important trading partners. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and potentially automobiles could lead to higher costs for Swedish manufacturers and reduced competitiveness in the American market. This could trigger job losses, lower investments, and weakened consumer confidence. Furthermore, tariffs create uncertainty in supply chains, making it difficult for Swedish businesses to plan for the future. Companies that rely on just-in-time manufacturing models may suffer disruptions, leading to higher costs and lower efficiency. Additionally, Sweden's tech and pharmaceutical industries have a strong presence in the US, and any trade restrictions could harm innovation and investment. Research collaborations between Swedish and American companies, particularly in biotech and engineering, could face hurdles if relations continue to deteriorate. Can Sweden turn this crisis into an opportunity? While the US remains a critical market, especially for automotive, life sciences, and advanced engineering, some argue that Sweden has been quietly diversifying. Scandinavian technology and engineering expertise are in high demand in Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Could this trade war push Sweden to strengthen ties with new partners and reduce reliance on the US market? Opportunities in emerging markets. Asia. Countries like China, India, and South Korea are actively seeking high-tech engineering solutions. Sweden's expertise in green technology and digital infrastructure could make it a key player in the region. Africa. With rapid urbanization and increasing demand for sustainable infrastructure, Swedish companies could expand their presence in construction, clean energy, and transportation sectors. Middle East. Nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE are heavily investing in digital transformation and renewable energy. Sweden's technology sector has the potential to benefit significantly from these projects. What's at stake for the European Union? The European Commission has signaled a tough response if the Trump administration escalates trade restrictions. Sweden has confirmed its commitment to the EU's strategy, keeping all viable options on the table. The EU has previously retaliated against US tariffs by imposing countermeasures on American products. If the trade dispute escalates further, Sweden may be compelled to support additional European tariffs, which could include measures against US tech giants, agriculture, and energy exports. However, European leaders are also aware of the risks of escalating the situation. A full-scale trade war between the US and the EU would harm economic growth on both sides. Sweden, as a highly globalized economy, would be caught in the crossfire, potentially suffering significant economic losses. The economic cost of a trade war. If the European Union retaliates against US tariffs, both sides risk economic damage. The European automotive industry relies on exports to the US, while American tech and agriculture depend on European markets. Sweden, with its high-tech economy, could take a significant hit, especially industries like automotive, engineering, and pharmaceuticals. In a worst-case scenario, businesses may shift production elsewhere, disrupting global supply chains, increasing costs, and shrinking trade volumes. Some experts warn that nobody wins in a trade war. But could Sweden turn this crisis into an opportunity? Sweden's balancing act: retaliate or negotiate. Sweden has long been a pro-free trade nation, benefiting from exports to both the US and the EU. But if the EU retaliates against Trump's tariffs, Sweden must join or risk isolation. The post-Brexit European Union cannot afford internal division, making a united response politically necessary. While Sweden opposes a customs war, it cannot afford to be seen as weak. If Sweden refuses to act, Brussels may question its commitment to EU economic policies. But if Sweden fully supports the EU's retaliatory tariffs, could it jeopardize long-term US-Sweden trade relations? Will Sweden shift focus to new markets? As global supply chains are reshaped post-pandemic, Sweden may use this crisis as an opportunity to expand into new markets. White heavy checkmark Asia is rapidly adopting green technology and engineering solutions. White heavy checkmark the Middle East is investing heavily in digital transformation. White heavy checkmark Africa is booming with infrastructure development. Swedish firms like Volvo, Scania, and SKF must decide whether to adapt to US tariffs or pivot to new regions. But can Sweden realistically replace the US as a key trading partner? A trade war no one wins? Many analysts argue that nobody wins in a trade war. The EU exports heavily to the US, while American tech and agriculture rely on European markets. If tensions escalate, cross-mark higher consumer prices, cross-mark disrupted supply chains, cross-mark weakened economic growth. But some say Sweden can turn the crisis into an opportunity by becoming a leader in next-gen engineering, biotech, and digital health solutions. Sweden has strong investments in pharmaceutical research and health tech, making it an attractive global hub. What's next? Sweden's government is walking a tightrope, supporting EU retaliation while maintaining US relations. If a new Trump 2.0 policy emerges, will Europe fight back harder? Or will both sides negotiate a truce? Fire, what do you think? Will Trump's tariffs trigger a full-scale trade war? Can Sweden successfully shift to new markets? Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates on global economic battles.